Hey tubers, so guess what? I made a decision, and I guess I've decided this. I had the wonderful pleasure of attending Creating Change last weekend, I think it was. Yeah, and had a really good time, and I got to meet a bunch of people, and even ones I didn't meet that I just got to see what they do. And I realized that if I'm going to be the advocate that I want to be, then I gotta be me. So, to that end, I have combined my Google and my YouTube page so that I can continue to participate. That being the case, for those of you who do not know, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Chase Jones. No, I didn't make that up. Yes, I was born with that name. And I need to be authentic. It would be wrong for me to sit here and tell all of you that the best way to find yourself is to be authentic and then not behave that way myself. Now, that being said, let me be clear about the risks that I take. By doing this, I could lose jobs. I could be outed at work. I could end up in interesting positions. But it's a risk I'm willing to take, and I would never say that anyone else had to or needed to take that risk in order to participate. It does kind of bother me that YouTube has decided that they need to, create this environment where, where those people who might have wanted to participate in a different kind of way, well, they just can't now. And that sucks. Probably for me, the most important factor is that I spent 40 years in the opposite gender, and that is an entire half of my life that I refuse to pretend like never happened. So I have been struggling over these last several years to figure out how do I combine these two, put them together in a way that they benefit me. And I suppose there is no real good way or no real good time to do it. So here we are. And here we step forward. Maybe I should relabel it Life 2.1. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so I'm hanging around for a while, and I really need to get back into making my videos and being a part of the community like I have been in the past. It's very therapeutic for me. It helps me kind of express myself, and it gives me an opportunity to feel the heartbeat of what's going on in the community. There are some hot topics going on now, some that bother me, some topics that I think need a little sanity brought to them. So I'm going to do my best to try to reach out to you guys and give you a little bit more of my thought process and see if we can't, fix the dialogue, continue the conversation. I will put down in the bottom, I now have, because here I am walking into the real world, right? I now have a Twitter, which, yeah, I haven't figured out how to do it yet. I have 11 followers. I guess that's brilliant, or not, or something. I don't know. But I'm going to try to utilize these tools to figure out how it is to best communicate the message that I think my authentic life has to offer to you, the community, and to the world at large. And there's a lot of discussion going on right now about, about what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. We've had this big blow-up thing happen between Janet Mock and Piers Morgan, and I can't say I totally agree with either of their sides. I think there's a third, maybe even a fourth option to interpreting that entire scenario. At the same time, I think there's a lot more conversation that needs to be had. And the divides really do sort of solidify our experiences. So if I'm an over 40 trans guy, I have a very different life experience than a guy who transitioned at 18, or a trans woman, or a trans woman of color, or a trans man of color, or there are so many variations of who we can be. A trans man with surgery, a trans man without, a trans woman without surgery, a trans woman with. There are a billion different ways we can formulate the definitions. And I think we need to start having more discussions about who defines that for us and how, and on what level do we owe it to the general population. I hate to put it, let's see. I've tried to come up with different terms, and every term I come up with sort of doesn't work. But in my son's world, in the Asperger's world, they've come up with a term to describe people who don't have weird, quirky brains, and they call them neurotypicals. So maybe the way we'll talk about them is gender typicals, or gendered stereotypes, or maybe just stereogenders, which would be people whose brain and biology tend to connect and align. This is another thing. We need terminology. We need better definitions. We need non-offensive language. We need so many different things. So we'll talk about all that in the in the days, weeks, months, years, whatever we got coming up. So anyways, today I'm just going to tell you I've combined the two. Here I am. And so I'll stick around and we'll see what happens. And if I get hate mail, you guys will answer it for me, okay? I'll make sure that I'll forward it to any of you guys I know how to get in touch with, and y'all just figure out how to formulate an answer, and we'll answer it from there. There's some exciting and interesting things starting to happen in my life professionally that as soon as I finish a few things and get them nailed down, I will be happy to share with you all. Until then, peace.